All right. Hello, everyone. We are getting set up in a quick transition between sessions here at KTI Summit 2023 in Shippensburg, Pennsylvania. And yeah, we're hanging out here. Dom's literally putting his microphone together. It is a STEM challenge like none other. While he's doing that, I'm just going to go ahead and kick it off. Thank you so much for being a part of the PACT pod. We have a large audience here of one. Yeah, he's making a nice loud noise. And a lot of stuff going on right now. We've got Ed Camp stuff going on, 9 other sessions going on, just doing a really great job. So my name is Eric Verto. I'm Vice President of PACT, and joined with me, I have
Tom Salvucci. I am Southwest Regional Director of PAECT, or Regional Director of the Southwest Region, I should say, PAECT.
you just tried to claim as the regional director. Mark that down. All right, Kevin, if you're watching, just mark it down. He might be working. I don't know. And Dom's here to my side, so every so often I'm going to awkwardly turn because he's right here, or if you see me here, he's hitting me because he's finally, for the first time he can, because he's not in Pittsburgh while I'm in the Philadelphia area. So we're going to be kicking off our session live from ATI Summit, from Curation to Curation, podcasting in your classroom. And so as we do, we talk about the whole back end, talk with our member who's in the audience here just to walk there, so you can kind of see behind us the actual control center of StreamYard, the program that we're using. And we kick off the show. We have our background set. And as you're looking at it, you can see over here on the side, there's a branding section, and we come up with our logo on the corner if we want it. We're here at KTI Summit, so we're going to use the Keystone Technology Innovators logo. And then we have different backdrops that we can use that you see when we're in this kind of shot. So we have regular backdrop with none of our sponsors. If I want a little darker, I can adjust it to a sponsor light. And last month we were at ISTE. We used the ISTE Live background. And then down here, just to address this, we have a whole row of different kind of camera settings that you can do. So right now we're on this group layout they have here. We can stretch it like this. And I don't know if anyone just shot there, so I got to adjust.
Like double down.
I know. Yeah, and then this stretches this out a little bit. If we have another guest that pops on, you can switch, and then one person's larger, the two on the side, a little smaller. All right, so, and then if we're doing a presentation, we don't have one going right now, so it won't show, but you have the presentation, like kind of like the little wee videos where the teacher's in the corner.
You'll throw that in.
Oh, there you go, buddy. All right, he's got it. So there you have that setting. And here on the sides, my moderator just delivered my coffee. The running joke of the week. I'm going to open up money for coffee this week. All right. So one thing that we'll do, we always start jolly banter that, some people like, some people may not. Evan, he's always, hit and miss whether he likes our banter. And then once we're ready, we'll go ahead and roll credits. So we'll kick it off like normal. How are things going today, Dom?
Good. Coming in from Mechanicsburg this morning. Went from 55 to 5 in a matter of seconds. Good thing Sammy Hager wasn't with me, because you couldn't drive 55 all of a sudden. Craziness. And there was nothing there. Fortunately, there were no accidents. It just from 55 down to 5, and then after about 10 minutes, back up to 55, 65. So no idea what was going on, but all of a sudden, slow down and then back up to normal. But that usual drive, once a year drive-in from Mechanicsburg.
I'm answering a viewer's question. Yes, Miss Hill, I did get my coffee. Thank you very much, viewer behind that. Awesome stuff.
Once a year drive from Mechanicsburg to Shippensburg brings back memories.
Yeah.
And I don't live in Mechanicsburg. I just go there to visit friends, drop my daughter off. She's visiting friends. The Biancos, give them a shout out. They may be watching while we're presenting.
Awesome stuff. So we'll kind of go one thing. A running joke would be is, what's outside of Dom's window. We just have a very square window in the back of the room, and it's another wall. It's not too exciting.
Well, that opens up into the commons area. I'm afraid of heights. I'm not going to look down, because I think that goes all the way down to the first floor. I'll get vertigo, and I can't handle that.
It's tough getting older. All right. As we have our banter going back and forth, then just one thing we talk about is where we create our items. I wish, we pretty much, should be paying Canva for everything we use, but love to have them on as a sponsor. But Canva does some amazing stuff. All the backdrops we've created using their educator account, and all of our transition videos and our beginning videos. But We have a wonderful, amazing lead learner this week, Sarah Walton, who does work with us for KTI. She's a PACT member, and she is just amazing when she's working her digital and video magic. And she actually did create our podcast intro. So as we get to our banner, you know what, Tom? We're here. We got the session. I think it's time for something.
I believe it's time for the PAECT Pod.
Let's roll it.
Drink the Windex.
Yep. So as we're interacting with people online, things that they're sharing, we're going through the show, showing the things that we talk about during this session. As questions come up, feel free to ask anything you want. You know, one thing that comes up is, so I hope there's not too much feedback in the episode because we're using our Rode podcaster mics and we have them angled away from each other, but we do have a close proximity where, you know, now I'm in Dom's shot right there, you know, right by his microphone. So look out. The guy picks on everybody. So yeah. So but hopefully the echo or feedback is not too bad. We don't have a soundboard necessarily. And that's just the cost saving things that we do. We just have the podcaster mic goes from an XLR to USB-C, which feeds right into our devices. And then if I sound better, it's because I have a service. And if Dom sounds better, it's just because my service is having a bad day. It's not because his Apple's any better.
Yeah, I do have. I was getting too much feedback. Not feedback, but the echo because you're talking and it's coming through under the leg.
Well, yeah.
As I've been told numerous times, I have a voice for silent movies and face for radio.
That's it. Yeah, you can't deny it. I mean, you guys see it every time. Twice a month, actually. I am so sorry. Thank you for watching. Fast forward is a beautiful thing. All right. So as we kind of look through, again, we went over a little bit of the layout. Again, the people that are in the room are seeing now, actually off of Dom's right shoulder. You can kind of see the section that we've been talking about. Go ahead, Dom.
You pull up the private chat because that's when we have guests on. And I tried getting guests, Andy Amy, good friend of the show, PACT member. She was going to jump on. If you're at the beach on vacation, enjoy your vacation. Appreciated the
Actually, I got a different story, Dom.
offer. What's that?
She's at the beach, but the thing, she took her computer to the beach with her, but she locked it in the locker and she forgot the combo.
Oh, I know. The combinations can be crazy.
Yeah, you got to be careful with those. I mean, this one was the letter one, and she just really, Andy, it's A, B, C, D. Okay, just I know what you usually use. It's okay. All right. So yeah, so you have your private chat. So anybody who's in the call, like as a guest, and as like the main people running it, whatever producers, you know, we're just the talent here. You could chat back and forth, and if we do chat in this area, the people that are viewing can't see it, right? Just the people that are on this side of it actually get to see it. But if people post, like Nicole posted about making the joke about my delivery of coffee, that comes in the comment because we are actually streaming live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and
the social media app formerly known as Twitter.
The Twitter bird, but we're going to become X, I guess.
Well, Microsoft owns the rights to X, I heard.
I don't know about that. Anyway, so Nicole Hill did say, Addie, she is one of our lead learners that is just amazing. So thank you so much. She's taking care of herself right now, but she's making sure I'm taking care of. So truly appreciate that.
I had to look off screen because there's Windex in my leftover Starbucks from this morning on my truck.
Beverage. All right, not the kind he might normally have on a pod. All right, so the other thing that we have here in this selection, we have banners. So we have one where it comes in, ticker tape, welcome to PACT Pod. So now, like at this time, when we roll with this, I might go and remove and brand it, change our background, and put our pillars up top, and change our background to just plain keystones, so it doesn't look really awkward with our branding being covered. And the unique thing is just trying, like, if Tom's talking, we're kind of doing this in the back end, and if I'm talking, he's doing it, because the view that's on our TV is mine. So I try to drive most of it so you can see everything we're doing. But it's really both of us, because we're both main moderators, so we can do all of these on the fly. So there's no third person having to produce in the back end kind of a thing. StreamYard off all of that.
Yeah, and it's nice because it's once you set the things up, you have the banners, you have branding, you can put all that information up ahead of time, and it's just push a button. And I brought my Stream Deck, but we're not using them. You can program the Stream Deck, put it off the side, and they now offer basic buttons on your iPhone and tablets you can pull for free without having to pay your subscription and do some basic tasks. You sit there with the Stream Deck and you program it on the hotkey. You just sit there and push buttons so you don't have to scroll with either the touchpad or a mouse and look. You have the button set up for the push. And then they're not expensive. We got the middle set. They're a little over $100. And they're fantastic. And Eric's actually set his up, use them for more than just working on StreamYard, set up hotkeys for your computer. If you're doing work, there's enough keys there that you can create. And how many create?
Yeah, I have like 5 setups. I haven't hit that limit, so I'm not sure exactly. But yeah, so I mean, switching. So if you're doing work, you can switch. I have two external screens on my computer. I can have it set up what windows are where. It'll automatically open up different browser tabs, things like that. So very versatile tool. So as I was talking, I was flipping through kind of some of our ticker tapes. Welcome to the pod. Follow us on Twitter. We have this one. PAECT has corporate council members. Part of their payment goes to being recognized on the pod. We are reaching out to have different people on. We're able to do different things like Koi Bowls was able to come on after Pete and C. PAECT has a partnership with all the different organizations who run Pete and C. So we asked him, he was able to come on. And just to give you the next pod, we'll be pulling in some people who are KTI, maybe the first time they've been here, a lead learner that's been the first time, and just have them share about their experience. We'll have Scott Snyder on. He wasn't able to make it today because we are competing, and his session is going on right now. So, but yeah, so all that's going on, and they help establish all the different organizations that are sponsoring PAECT, and then also EduSpire is a venture sponsor. Not only do they sponsor PAECT, but they do help offset costs for the KTI Summit. All right, and then there's a difference between when you set it up, you can do a ticker tape, or you can just pull it and have a heading come in off the side. So talking about any kind of PAECT items, when we get into talking about PED opportunities, we will really just put those links up there. We try to use Bitly to make it easier for people. Sometimes watching on YouTube, QR codes aren't necessarily the best to put on the screens.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to pull up to the
PSC.
there we go. No, not yet. I'll pull up my the presentation on doing old school wiki, which I know blows people's minds, but hey,
we're at a
they're still useful.
I don't know how many people in this conference know what wiki is. I know one that's in our room right now would know it, but man, not many.
It is a free online platform that you create your own webpage, and they're still useful. You just can't put your own URLs up. But we created, and eventually I want to push this into a presentation, but it's because we're still building the podcast out. This presentation is still being built out as we go. The presentation about the presenters, some information about us, not that people want to see that. You do have our clearances. That's good. You bring us into your home and your schools. Some of the tools we use, and talk about that behind the scenes. We talked about Notion, so that's where we were planning. We tried Google Docs. It's
just the organization of it. The app itself is nice, but just organizing it in the folders just a little.
Yeah. And then if you Slack, email, text, depending on who we're working with, for using with other PAECT members, Slack's easier. Sometimes it's email, sometimes we're working with people we know, so we send the text, but we'll coordinate all that, getting the list ready. And then the social media comes into play, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, pushing things out. And I bring that up down below also because we were doing some research, other tools to promote the show. Twitter, where the name is going to be. I was reading articles, push out clips. I read this after I left this team, but I met the dancing umpire from the Savannah Bananas. He would have been great to make a little video clip about, hey, check out the PAECT Pod. Ryan and Greg, we talked to today, they're going to make like a promo for us. We're hoping to have them on the podcast. But pushing out these clips and people we've had on, we've had Koi Bowls make a little clip, like, put those out regularly on social media to drum up viewers. Like for us, we're trying to get viewers. For my classroom, I push things out, not necessarily to promote the students' work to get people to view and to monetize it, but the kids, like I'll put a little tracker, a little map tracker on there, and the kids get fired up whenever they see the people are watching their presentations. So even from that standpoint, it's good to drum up business if your school allows, like each high school, and we have a policy the kids, their last names and whatnot, but we're allowed to have their likeness. And I try not to have anything too personal on their presentations. I'll go through that and redo it. But that'll, they get a kind of effect. Oh, school from this country, we have so many views on our project. So social media helps promote that if your school allows you to do that. And I found this like Hera in some of the articles I was reading. I set up several times a day, I get emails. You can sign up as either a podcaster or a viewer, and what they said was kind of reciprocate, go out. If you have good experience in a certain area, you can go on someone's podcast, and you're getting your exposure. And they usually say, hey, what else do you do? Well, I have a podcast, PAECT Pod, and you can hear more about educational technology there. And that's the way to promote your podcast by going through that. You get an email once, twice, or 3 times a day, and they'll ask, hey, law, social media, technology, education, music, different topics. Are you knowledgeable in this, and would you mind being on someone's podcast? So we haven't been on any podcast yet, but I signed up for that, trying to see if there's any way we can get our name out there more. And then we talked about some of the things we use after the show. We'll go through and create wakelets of all of the links that we talk about in the show. We'll push out. This goes live to YouTube, but then I'll download it from StreamYard, and I'll push it out to podcasters, Spotify for podcasters, which used to be Anchor FM. I'll push the audio out, and then I'll push put the video out, the audio out, and then we cut it out, because one thing Eric found was, not everyone wants to listen to the whole hour podcast, so you cut up the snippets and push those out. And I'll use Soundtrap. Gave us a trial edition for this. Now with the trial edition, you're going to get 1 hour of transcription. But I can upload the audio file to there. It'll go through and I'll get the transcript. It's easier to edit than trying to sit there with GarageBand and figure out where the breaks are in the podcast. I can just look at the transcript and highlight and cut from there. And we'll push those out in segments. I'll use iMovie to edit the segments of the video. We've played around with timelining. You could annotate the YouTube videos. Then I came across an AI tool. And I'm trying to find that it should be on here. Maybe it is. I think it's on the Wakelet. A trial version where I was able to actually go in, and it gave me specific quotes from the different people. I went in and labeled who was speaking. In our most of the show, I think we had 8 guests we videotaped. And it gave us quotes to push out on Twitter, gave us a Facebook quote. And the trial version is interesting. It's a nominal fee to use per month for what we would use. I don't know if we would use it, but it's another way it does all the background, so it saves you time. I think for like $9 a month, it'll go through and give you all the things that it would take you hours to do. Unless you're really proficient, then it would take you a few less hours to do and push things out that way. So there's a lot out there. We're still learning and pushing out about it, but things you need to do during and after the show. And we also have all the wakelets linked to this too.
Yeah.
But
no, that's okay. And just real quick, so Dom is presenting, so those in the room can see we have our windows on the bottom, and then he added a presentation window. So I'm going to add a presentation window where you click on present. You can present right from slides, All right, so it'll pull them. Now they have to be downloaded. They won't pull from like Google Slides or anything. I download it. You can add an extra camera, so I can technically use my laptop camera for my main camera, and I can use my extra camera to kind of do different things, move it around the room, and then see our guest. Oh, here we go. All right, on the pod, there it is. All right. Yep, there it is. And so you can add a video file. And sometimes if you're on the fly, you pull it up. It's good. Otherwise, beforehand, you can kind of add it to your branding. It'll play from the StreamYard platform.
There is a limit to the size video you can upload.
Yep. Yeah, that the other day. And then share screen. So when I click share screen, it'll pull up and say, do you want a tab? Do you want a window? Do you want the entire screen? So with multiple monitors, I'll make one monitor that I'm sharing kind of. But for this, I'm going to share this tab because it's what Don was talking about. So I'm going to hit share. And now on my screen, it goes rather large, so you can't see it, but I'm going to quickly add it here to the stream. And now it shows now the thing about like extra monitor, I'd be able to be working on the extra monitor and still be able to see what you're doing. So on this one, I'm just going to go to here. Now when I'm doing this, let me just minimize this temporarily. Have this up here. And we will switch over. So, and if you notice on the screen, you can see in the smaller area over here, you can see the mouse moving, and that's what's being streamed, but it's moving on this window I have minimized. So just to go over Soundtrap, making music together online. My school is a one-to-one Chromebook school, so we don't have, whether it be iMovie or GarageBand using the Apple products, or even pulling down usually the big one for even if it's a Microsoft product, we always like to pull off. Why am I blanking the name?
Audacity,
that's it. And then even like a Clipchamp. So Soundtrap is an online platform, so you can use it on any device, hardware agnostic. And they've really amped up a lot of things. As Dom said, we do have a code that we are going to put on the screen. But the code we're also sharing with members of the KTI Summit, so everybody's going to get a chance to have 90 days, 3 months subscription to the Pro version. And they've really done a great job decking out the Pro version. So we're very happy for, in essence, that partnership that they're allowing us to share that code. And it's really exciting. So hopefully, as we talk about, we're going to move over to the creation side because we just hit about our 20-minute times. We're 245 is when we have to be done. So we're going to move over to that creation side and have Don talk a little bit about how he's creating the podcast in his classroom, how he's doing different things, and maybe where he's finding podcasts for kids to listen to. But when that comes into play, StreamYard is a great platform for you to be able to stream live. You can create a free video and publish that at a certain time through StreamYard. You can set that up in the back, and it'll run it when it's not there. But creating it in your classroom, you're going to create some sound clips. You're going to create this. And you're going to want to use a program like Soundtrap to be able to pull it in that fashion. So I'm going to stop that share. I'm going to minimize this. And actually, so I'm going to switch it. So I'm going to share. It's going to be the conception. I'm going to share the screen that everybody in the room is able to see and see if it lets me do it. There we go. I'm going to hit share. So I'm going to share this window. So even the people that are viewing at home, a little too crazy. But while that's a little crazy in the middle, focusing on the side real quick, there is a new section where StreamYard has added the ability to do background music. And even some of the background music that we use has actually been uploaded. And you can actually click this and hit play, and the people at home are listening, and you can turn it up, turn it down, depending on how you want it to work in the background. All right, so I'm going to stop that.
Now, if you have access to GarageBand, I use Podbean for my classroom podcast at school. I was using that before Anchor.fm came around, and I had so much content there. I tapped it, and I do pay a nominal fee for that. My daughter went into GarageBand, used the loops from Magic GarageBand, and she made the music for my podcast, and I've uploaded that to Podbean. I've also used that on my. I have a personal account I use for Spotify podcast. Mm-hmm. So I have an educational podcast. I have one just for whenever I want to vent about football or whatever. I have my own little personal podcast, and then the PACT podcast. So you can, if you have access to GarageBand, if you have access to Audacity, and there's some other music tools out there that you can use, create the music, have the students create the music, and then push that out. We had one of my students, all year long, I joked he was on our mock trial team. I said, you have a very professional sounding voice. I wish my voice sounded as good as yours. And so he did a voiceover, enrichment points. He did a couple of voiceovers for the show, and I gave him points for it. So you can have the students create content for either, any type of podcast you're using, even if it's not for the class. They can create content and use it, and then I give them bonus points for it. I run a club at school, What's Up Newbury. And my students here in my class get enrichment points for it. We use TouchCast Studio, EC Studio for that because I run it off an iPad. I want to get the kids involved in Soundtrap, and they're playing with it also with StreamYard if we do videos too. So they play around with it a bit. But I've had the kids, years ago when we were doing it, I had some kids who were very artistic. They just drew on a chalkboard. I bought chalk from a big thing of chalk and the old chalkboard in my room. They took down the posters, we took down the green screen, and they would do different backdrops on there with chalk, and we would film it. This year, in the past year, I had a student who's very good with graphic design, so she would draw on the iPad. We'd take the screenshot and push that out, and that would be the backdrop for the show. So you can have things that they'll get enrichment points of them for class. And then since it's a club, they'll either come in during their study hall or before or after school. And I tell them, if I don't have you for class, I can't give you enrichment points, but I'll feed you and we'll make hot chocolate or I'll get them iced tea or something. And it's a club setting. So we do that, and they're learning the skills. They're working on digital citizenship skills. And they run everything. I say, it's student run. I just check everything before it goes out to the internet. I have control over that because it's my job. It's on the line. And I let them run with it and let it be creative. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that's part of the process. They have to learn what works, what doesn't work. I don't want it to be them creating what I want them to create. I want them to be in the process and learn. And sometimes if things don't work, that's how you learn best, is if you fail. You stumble through things. So, but those are all different ways you can have that. We've had students had my daughter make music for me. I fiddled around with it. And I've always been a big advocate of, I tell the kids if something breaks in the classroom, we're trying to do something with one of the tools and it doesn't work. And whoever gets me the fix gets enrichment points. If you make a tutorial or written directions, I'll give you even more points. And they're like, why? I'm like, what are you going to do when you go home? And they're like, I'm going to go play video games or I'm going to go watch TikToks. Okay, I'm going to go home and I have to cut the grass. I have to do this. I have to get my daughter here. So I have a whole list of things I have to do. You're going home. So you're probably better playing with this stuff than I am. I can use it and I can show you how to use it. But I'm checking papers and everything else, checking assignments. So you have more time and I'll turn them loose on it and they appreciate it. And it helps me out because, they have the time. A lot of them have the time now. A lot of kids have jobs and such and can't do it, but they're a good resource and they love solving problems. They love being smarter than us. That's the one thing with students. If they could show us that, you couldn't fix this and you're supposed to be a tech person, thanks. I'll give you the points. I'll give you whatever. Appreciate the help. And they get credit for it. So I did find, I'm going to pull up my page here again. It is podcastmarketing.ai. Came across it in an article, and the article's linked in the Wakelets. It gives you a transcript. It timestamps the summaries. You can download everything, gives you show notes, gives you an episode description. Now, if you weren't doing a live show like we do, this would be great because then you could push out the description ahead of time. Gives you titles. But since we do our show live, this part doesn't really help us. Same with the newsletter, but the quote cards I pulled out and the social media posts, and I grabbed the quote cards and I pushed them out through our Twitter account or whatever it should be called henceforth. So this was kind of neat because it generated things, and you're limited as to how many you get, but like with the quote cards, and it's not going to pop up. Let me close this out. It gives you 9 max limits reached. I can go through and what I did was I copied and pasted these over to a Google Doc so I have them. But I was able to just, get rid of one, extract one more quote, hit a button, and it's taking my transcript that I uploaded from the audio file.
I just got to pop on. I turned my camera off. I was doing work in the back end, but I'm a little annoyed that there's so many Dom and there's only one Eric. I mean,
I labeled a lot.
We were commenting on what he was commenting, and he got credited better than I did. So I got a bonus for that AI system right there.
You should have uploaded the information because then you could have put my name with your name.
I'm looking to see if this podcast marketing is based out of Pittsburgh, and it's a conspiracy. I'm throwing it out there right now. Just going on the record.
They noticed you mentioned the thing about the Miami Dolphins in there, and they're not Dolphins fans.
It must be. I see there's some French fries between podcast and marketing. And that's what they do in Pittsburgh, right? Put French fries in everything. All right.
But the tools are there, and I'm just playing with this right now. Like we've toyed around with AI to make promotional things for us. We've had to type in the information. I tried typing some stuff in, and it came out very generic. It wasn't worth the effort. But this, because it takes the content from our actual show and pushes it out, it's something to look into. And I kidding around with the AI thing. I would probably sound better through AI.
True that. We'd look better.
Yes, look better. Yeah, but I always said that with my personal blog, it'll always be written by me, not artificial intelligence, because you'll just get the real me, no matter how smart or not smart I am at the time.
For those who listen to the pod, they just know Dom's a little upset because when he put something he wrote through the podcast tester, it said it was only moderately human or moderately intelligent. So he has a bone to pick with AI as well. But I mean, we've done shows where we devoted it to AI, but the way things are going, and again, in education, the thought of using it, we're never going to escape it. It's going to be a part of a lot of things we do. And I go back to what we heard from Chris Adams, who's doing work with our organization. And the way he said it is the best I've heard. And he said, think of that AI, whether it's ChatGPT, whatever it is, as a thought partner. You're going to run something through it to get you started. It's not the beginning to the end, but it's a way to kick things off. So if students are struggling with writer's block, is it okay for them to kind of kick off a little bit of that and then take it from there? That's your call in your classroom, But just having that a partner, it's really going to be there, help shave some time off, help shave some different things. So, there's ways we're using it. We'll talk down the road about how we're using it for the summit, to pull information, to be able to have it analyze stuff, as opposed to having people read through some different things. So it has some really interesting features to it. So, how do you use it? How do you harness it? And, and it boils down to, as educators, if we don't teach the kids how to do it, they're not learning it. And then they're learning it from, friends of friends of friends. And you just don't know. Good habits, bad habits, what are they trying to do? And anytime you try to stop a kid from doing something, they always figure out how to get around it. So, so we're more, I think Dom and I are more embracing it just as a possibility, not necessarily creating it whole hog. So,
no. And on the back end, now this tweet is huge. So, I guess it's assuming that we're paying for super premium. Our last name is actually Musk.
I love all the little emojis and stuff.
I know.
Interesting.
But, it gives you ideas as to what to do. Like with the, as I scroll back up, the quote cards. Now I did get, I was in a hurry to do this. So Jed Hamburger, who is a PAECT member and superintendent of Oswego Valley and friend of the show, he had a number of quotes. Now, some of them I went through and I did cheat. I just typed in names instead of putting the real speakers in. That was one of the presenters from Life that did the microbit. And I did go through and I fixed it on Twitter and I put the real names in.
Yeah, those videos and stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. He's only partially stacking the deck, I guess.
Yeah. So, I went through, but if you go through and it'll ask you who the speakers are, who your guests are, they a guest or they a host. and it goes through all of that. If I could pull up the transcript here, it'll ask you to go through and label. We had so many videos on there that it breaks it down. It was pretty slick. And they said it's a bit of money, but it does a lot of work on the back end, and I made up names.
Okay.
Just because it was easier to do it that way than it was to do the video clip. I was kind of pushing for time.
Just learning so much about my co-host tonight, folks. I appreciate you all along the ride with me. It's really good. All right, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to show a couple of the features. We're kind of close it out and then just have like a conversation of different things here in the room. But basically what Dom was doing, showing you that back end, in our show, we would call that tech note. So again, using Canva, we created transitions. So just to put one on the screen real quick when you hit play to show it. And I'll do this one because Tom doesn't like the picture in this one as much as I do. I think it's really good. He just swears it doesn't look like him. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. So yes, we have that set up. That transition would go in. Whomever's talking would have the screen they'd be presenting. When those things are playing, it puts us in the background. It doesn't mute our mic, but it puts us in the background. So that way that's got the forefront of the deal. And so as we roll through, we show our tech nodes, we go through, we talk about just going to the PAECT website, looking at the calendar, things that are occurring there. And then we look to close it out. We have a little video that we did for thank you for our sponsors. Mm-hmm. So we do like to close out kind of with our tag for PAECT. So we'll just go ahead and go into our closing and say, you know what, we truly,
One thing we do, and it took us a while, a little slow on the uptake on this, but because when we're editing down like the tech notes and cutting things up into segments, we've built in some pauses so it's easier, so it's not where we talk over each other and you have like a split second to make the cut, either in GarageBand or iMovie or Audacity, whatever you're using. So if you're building a podcast even with your kids and you want to segment it out, you have to build in with them. Remember to put pauses in, natural pauses, so it's easier for you to edit. Because some kids are going to be pro at that, other people aren't, and it just helps in the process, the back end of the game.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing is when you're doing a podcast, try not to have it on the desk that Dom's going to pound on while he's presenting. So his Italian nature is probably giving you motion sickness. I do apologize. So yes, we do like to have a good time, but then we'll always, all that great information. You could check out this pod. It'll be saved on our YouTube page. So youtube.com/PAECT Pod. We have it on our Facebook page, Twitter, and even LinkedIn. Looking through the profile. So
it will be on Spotify.
And Spotify. And we kick through what used to be Anchor, Spotify. And it goes out to any podcast catcher you have, whether you set the audio or video. It'll be anywhere you need it to be. So this has been live from KTI Summit. Episode 31, I do believe. I didn't have the notes up because we do usually go. So live episode number 31. So we truly appreciate you being here. And thank you so much for hopefully being a member of PAECT because you know what, PAECT?
We are.
The voice of EdTech in PA.
And beyond.
All right. So thank you. Let's thank our sponsors. Then we truly appreciate you being here live.
PAECT and the PAECT Pod would like to thank our corporate council sponsors. Thank you to ClassLink, Max Cases, Go Guardian, and Bloom. Thank you to Sam Labs, DRC Data Recognition Corporation, and EduSpire. Tech, the next step. PAECT thanks these sponsors and thanks you for listening to another episode of the PAECT Pod.